Donna Dare says that there were some Davidians who never agreed with Florence's teachings and adhered only to Houteff's original writings. He, with a small group of the Davidians, began to regroup and reorganize in California in 1961. Eventually, they moved their operation to Salem, South Carolina in 1970 and start reprinting the Shepherd's Rod literature. They named their association the General Association of Davidian Seventh-Day Adventists and set up the organization just as Houteff did. Out of this small group, the largest group of Davidians today will emerge, the lesser-known Davidian Seventh-Day Adventists. These Davidians claim that Houteff's movement continued with them because, unlike the Branch Davidians, they haven't deviated from or added to Houteff's teaching. In 1961, Florence and the entire Executive Council tendered their resignation in a letter. At the same time, Florence was teaching her 42-month doctrine. A Davidian named Benjamin Roden appears on the scene. Roden claims to be the prophet Elijah to take Houteff's place. Like Florence Houteff, Ben Roden begins to modify teachings of Victor Houteff. Roden gains a following by acquiring the mailing list to the Davidian members. When the Texas courts hold a session to liquidate the land assets of the association, Roden wins the majority vote and acquires the land in Elk, Texas. He calls his movement the Branch Seventh-Day Adventist. Eventually, the group is called the Branch Davidians.
His movement was really named Branch Seventh-Day Adventist. He did not use the name Davidian. But because he acquired this Mount Carmel property where Davidian's headquarters was, and people understood that, eventually they became known as Branch Davidians, but they never were. That was not their name. They did not use that.
But particularly after this sudden death of Victor Houteff, he showed up and said, "You all are looking for an important sign. I have the sign for you. I have the message. And my message is that the new Messiah will be called, according to the book of Isaiah, the branch."
He started teaching the feast laws. And the reason why is I knew him very well. I'd been to his house and visited with them, and we had become friends. And so when he began to teach that, I saw him there teaching it, and I realized that he was not teaching according to what Brother Victor had told us.
One of the main things he was, I would say, adding to the message of the Shepherd's Rod was that we should observe feast days. And that created a division in the organization, because the original message of the Shepherd's Rod did not advocate we should be observing feast days at this time, because we don't think it is applicable at this time. But he was saying they should observe the feast days, the new moons, Feast of Tabernacles, those kind of feast days, the Passover. But the original message didn't promote that. It created a division. And in this division, he started a movement called the Branch Davidian. So now we have the Davidians and we have the Branch Davidians.
If you see the Davidians as a reform group of Seventh-day Adventists, then the Branch Davidians are yet another split, another branch off of the original Davidians. So this was his idea. He had Jewish background, and so as he took over this movement, he offered to take over, and they rejected him at first. And this was in '55. But then, when Florence's prediction failed, and in '62 they disbanded and so forth, then he showed up again and was interested in leading the small group of about 50 who were left there, and was able actually to buy the property and to carry on there. So he had a home, he had a place, he had a following. So his teaching was I think, influenced by his Jewish background.